Hello, hello. Hey, hey.
Hey, man. Sorry, but I don't know how to use the Discord software, so I don't see the notification. I don't see the.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Okay.
all good, man. A lot of communities are hanging out on Discord these days, so this is an experience I have a lot. A lot of us StarCraft gamers are a little bit older. A lot of us are, we're not the 14-year-old kids all hanging out on the latest software, but Discord's actually
Yeah.
really easy to use. It does
Mhm.
take a little bit though. At first, it seems very unintuitive, but it should be fine once you've used it for a little bit. So this is good. Awesome. So we can focus on PvT today, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. Of course. Yes. Yes. I wanted because I have troubles dealing with drops and widow mines, banshees,
Hmm.
and also the bio tank. When they come to my base, I don't usually have many units, and because they are using bio,
Yep.
I don't defend so properly. So I start using Colossus, but they build Vikings and destroy the Colossus, and my other units are not able to defeat the bio tank.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Well, let's take
Ah,
a look at some
uh-huh,
replays to start if we can. So if you hop in game,
uh-huh.
you can find me just in chat channel Piggy. So see what I'm gonna type it in
Okay,
Discord.
nice. Uh-huh,
If you just type basically that without the full stop at the start, so you see what I
uh-huh,
just typed in Discord. If you do that in BattleNet in your chat, that
uh-huh.
should join you into the chat channel. So it should
Oh,
just be
yeah, okay.
/
Do I have
join space Piggy.
do I have to include the dot?
No, no dot.
No? Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
And once you're in there, obviously on the EU server, and then we can get in and kind of look at some replays. So I know you said you've been doing
yes.
Colossus. Actually, let's get in there first of all. I see ya. There we go.
Just a
Awesome.
minute, please, because I want to turn off my volume. Uh,
No worries. In-game volume can be pretty deafening. Oh, good.
okay, I think okay. Huh, this is nice. Okay,
All right. So if you could just grab one of your recent PvT replays. I don't know if you
okay.
had
Let me see.
if you don't have any organized, that's fine. Just grab any recent one for us to look at, and we can kind of see
Yeah,
what we can.
I have some of them. I think
No
I
worries.
changed the name. Yes, this one, for example. Yes. Yeah, yeah. For example, these ones. I think. Uh, how can I start
Just
the?
do watch with
Oh, no, no,
others.
no. This one. This one. No, I'm sorry. This is against Sir. I think these ones. Yes, Protoss. Yes, but I cannot start the.
Just to the right, there should be a watch with others button. So normally when you click a
Uh,
replay, there's a watch button. That'll be grayed out.
yeah,
But
but this say with others. Okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
no worries. Awesome. So before we start, whoop,
Uh huh. Yeah.
see,
Sorry. Okay.
that's all right. You got to make me the in control of it so that I can zoom
Okay.
forward and back. I'll just relog really quickly. I just
Okay.
quickly canceled that, but there we go. So I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
And once I'm in there, we'll just do promote to lobby host. So, uh, I just messaged you. Can you just shoot me an invite to that lobby?
I,
Just,
but I don't know how to invite.
are you still in the replay
Okay. Okay.
lobby? Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, that was party. So if you're still in the lobby, there should be an invite to game. If you just right click my name and go invite to
Uh,
game,
okay.
there we
Uh,
go. So now just right
invent.
click me and go promote to lobby host.
Okay. Okay. Because my StarCraft is in Spanish,
Yeah,
so I
sorry.
don't find
Yeah,
the.
yeah. That's a different button. So you just made me the party leader.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what lobby host would be in Spanish, but something that is roughly translating to promote to the lobby host or
Yeah.
the custom game
Yeah.
head.
Yeah. I have promoted as a leader.
That's party leader, so it's a different option. So there's a different one. So party leader doesn't
Party.
affect who's in control of this lobby. This is kind of like being in charge of the replay itself. So you need to promote me to lobby host. I'm not sure what that's called
Okay,
in the
okay,
Spanish,
okay, okay.
but
Okay, yeah. I think that I have found the
what is
right
it in Spanish?
option.
I'm curious.
In Spanish, promocionar a anfitrión de sala.
Okay, I'll try to remember that.
If I if I try to if I try to translate to English, literally it's different. It's
Yeah,
not the same.
of course,
It's
of
really really
course.
different.
Yeah, as is always the case. I mean, it never sounds. I mean, promote to lobby host is a very
Yeah,
specific
because lobby
set of words.
different. I don't know what does it mean, but this is different. Yeah.
Yeah. No worries, mate. Give me one moment. Just one second.
Yes, of course.
The enemy threatens your probes.
All right. All right. Okay. Thanks for your patience there, mate. So, have you still been doing the 4-gate blink opening that you linked me, or have you been doing a different
Yeah.
build order?
When I wrote you, I was trying to do the build order for Parting G, the player, the professional player. I was trying to do that, but because I was unable to to win all the games, I I don't do it more anymore because many Terran players get the Steam Pack and defend so well. So I decide to find another build order, and I am doing a macro build order.
Okay. So, did you get this guide off somewhere, or did you kind of partially make this up yourself?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
With this build order that you're doing now, is this from somewhere? Did you learn this off like a video, or did you just make it up?
I have seen a video from from Suka. I think that this is the guy, and I tried to change some things in order to feel more secure. For example, in that build order, he usually builds just one gateway after the proxy robo. In my case, I am building two, and also
Right.
I am building the Twilight Council.
Okay.
Council.
Yeah. No worries. So you're still going for a pretty fast blink. We don't have a lot of meat early on, so if a fast push does hit us, we're gonna need to make sure we micro our stalk as well. But overall, looks quite fine. What's your matchmaking rating, your skill rating in StarCraft? So I know you were Platinum 3 before, but what's the actual
Yeah.
rating that you show? What number?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I didn't pay attention to my rank or anything. I am not sure. I have seen once that my percentage of win against Serra is I think that 60%. Against Terran it was 30%.
Oh wow. So yeah, much lower than your others, right?
Yes. Well, against Ser, I am using an build order that I saw in another channel that it was a Silot Rush. So I mean I am not making micro game against Ser. I am doing an all-in.
Yeah. That's still the same one from Lambo's video, right? The Immortal Charge
Yes.
Zealot, or Harstom's video, sorry, the Immortal Charge Zealot build.
Yes.
Beautiful. That's a good one. I think it's good to have an all-in you're working on and just always be focused on hitting that build just perfect. And you every time you play that build, you can look at the replay, go, okay, what time did I hit? How well did I execute it, and so on and so forth. So I think this is a totally fine opening that you're doing here. Definitely, there are always things that can be improved. But the most important thing for us to define as a player is going to be our attack timings. Even when you're doing a macro build that is defensive, there still need to be some sort of attack timings that we're building towards. So do you have any moment, maybe when you get like 2 or 3 Colossus, where you go and push the Terran and try to kill them with this build? Or do you just kind of end up sitting back and usually it's just a matter of they're the one who attacks, they harass, then they come and kill you?
Yes, I usually sit back until I get the full the 200 units, because I'm scared that if I move to another part of the map, I get a drop.
Yeah, I think we've got to move out before then, and we've got to have a clear point, and we can find ways to make that work where we use our scouting. Use observers. If we know there's a drop out there, we go hunt it down. But it's really important to know that we've got that we're building towards. Because if we don't have a certain powerful point that we're kind of building towards as a player, then we're going to end up playing worse. Anytime we don't have like a clear, sharp goal in mind, we will start playing worse as a player. This is just the nature of StarCraft is... If you're not thinking about specific goals, you kind of end up doing everything kind of okay, but because you don't have anything you're building towards, it's hard to improve. It's hard to hit everything just right and just perfect and that sort of thing. So, yeah, basically what we want to focus on is saying, okay, well, you know, if we're doing a Blinkstalker opening, there isn't really any super early push we can do by any means. We definitely could do that. So, something we could say off the flat. First thing, by the way, sorry, let me link you up. There's a Google. Do you have 2 monitors?
I'm sorry?
Do you have 2 monitors, 2 computer displays?
2 mornings?
Two screens. Like two screens.
No, just one screen because I have it's a notebook.
No worries. If you can just tab out. So one of the more important things is get that document open that I've linked you, the Google Doc. And you should be able to type in there as well. But I'm going to be writing notes as we go. And this is always going to be really useful for you to go back and look at, whether you rewatch the video of the coaching session tomorrow or something. But more importantly, you can just always look back here at the notes and also add your own notes to it. So what we're going to say as an attack timing is when we get 2 to 3 Colossus plus a Warp Prism and charge, we can do a big Zealot Colossus attack. If we can warp in a bunch of Archons at the front before we attack, just before we attack, that's great. That's awesome. And obviously we can do this just off 66 probes, 3 bases essentially, and maybe we have like +1 attack or something like that. But the important thing there is that'll give you a goal in mind of kind of what you want to do in that regard. The other one is that right now, so you're going really fancy units, Blinkstalkers and Sentries, which are incredibly technical units that if we want to use them, we probably, you know, they're very fragile and it's very easy to just die if we don't use them correctly. So like I could give you a much easier way of playing StarCraft where you would perform infinitely better. So rather than trying to copy pro build orders, I could get you to open up Charge Zealots every game, get up a 2.5, 3 base economy, and then just win the game with a lot of Charge Zealots or Charge Zealots and Colossus. That might not resonate with you. I think it's really important to kind of have fun with what you're doing and what style you're playing. So the one thing that we can say for sure, though, is that, like, if we look at this last fight back in this replay, sorry, just with the Google document, maybe you can open it on your phone as well if you want to look at it at the same time. But for now, can you see the notes?
Yeah. Well, no, the notes on Discord, no, but okay, but no problem because I can switch between the screens.
Can you just make sure you can type in that document first of all to make sure that, because I just want to make sure you have editing privileges. You should have them from earlier when I set up. Just click somewhere in the document and type. Okay, beautiful. Yes, it works. I can see you.
I was writing on Notepad.
Yeah, no worries. It's easier in here, but that should be great. Awesome. Okay, just wanted to check you could see that. So you can see like, okay, we could have an attack like that, but there's also like other things. So some other kind of tenets of StarCraft, right? So things like there are easier units to use. So Colossus, Zealots, Archons, easy units, right? Why? Because we can attack move. Blinkstalkers, Sentries, Disruptors, Phoenix, Oracles, whatever, equals units that are only good if we really use all their abilities, So having like one Sentry in your army and just using Guardian Shield, that's very easy. But if we look back in game, so let's take a look back in the replay. If we tab back into StarCraft, so your opponent's going to push you. And you've built a lot of cool little utility things. You've got lots of observers. You've got blink stalkers. You've got a few sentries. And none of these units are good when they're attack moved, right? If this was all zealots you had with charge, you could attack move and then continue macroing. You wouldn't even need to look at the fight, and you'd clear this army up really easily. But instead, watch what happens. We go forward. We don't use any force fields or guardian shields. We actually move into his bio. We then panic. We try to run away. We try to force field. We kill, I think, 1 or 2 Marines for our entire army.
Yes.
Almost no units. Such is the nature of blink stalkers. Such is the nature of all these complicated fancy units. So something I rant a lot about recently, and I go on my kind of silly but somewhat serious rant, is that because blink stalkers look so cool when pros use them, everybody tries to use blink stalkers, and I'm okay with that, but we should really only focus on it early on as part of our play rather than just a little bonus upgrade. We should only do that if we're really focusing on trying to learn how to micro them and use them effectively. And in this case, that means being really good at like anytime harassment comes in, we see it ahead of time with an observer, we blink on it, we kill it before it even gets to unload a Widow Mine. Anytime a push is coming, our stalkers go out on the map and they pick off a few Marines and Marauders, blinking back and running away whenever they use stim. And you make them stim their army, so their army's weak by the time the fight happens, and you wound them and you wear them down. But these are all very complicated things. And no matter what, it might be a mixture of both that we end up going with, where maybe we still use blink, but we get it a little bit later, and we still try to focus on getting better at it, but we make sure we have more of a core to our army. So when this push comes, we would want to either have charge and a good bunch of zealots, or something a bit more sustained damage. So maybe we just have like a Colossus in our army, and then we just use Guardian Shield when that fight starts, and like we don't need to do any fancy micro. But the important thing is we always want to have some of that A move stuff by the time the serious fights start happening. So, at this point where bio can be hitting us and doing all sorts of things and so on, we want to make sure we do have some of those A move units just to make our life a little bit easier.
Okay. Yeah. But what happened when I fight against liberators? I don't know in English. Liberators.
Yeah, that's a very high tier unit that comes much later in the game. So you can just have even a handful of stalkers. They're not going to have a lot of libs until much later. So you can always add blink then if you need to. But to be honest, it's not until they have a lot of liberators. And even when they have a lot of liberators, similar to siege tanks, they're not very mobile. So if you say, oh, I only have 2 stalkers in my army and like an Archon, everything else is zealots and Colossus, right? You can basically just attack them. And then the liberators siege up, you just pull back and then you attack somewhere else. The liberators are never sieged up during a fight. And even when the fight happens, they're just not going to be set up in time. And this is so much later in the game that they get liberators to when we should be pushing our opponent. So one of the problems that happens if we sit back all the time is we lose sense of timing in the game. So, it's like, what if they go this unit? What if they go that unit? Well, the important thing is if you never attack, it always feels like your opponent can respond to everything you have, right? But the idea is we need to make sure we're using the units we have at the moment when they are strong. This is an important part of having those timing attacks built into our play. So if we get 2 Colossus out, good time, get charge, go do a big attack, even if your opponent was planning to head to Libs pretty quickly, they've probably got 1 or 2 Liberators, which is not a problem, you know? They don't really do anything. And you can just kind of pound through their ground army. But the important thing here is to choose a direction. So you're going to need to own exactly kind of what sort of StarCraft. So we can play this exact same opening almost and just change it a little bit. So I guess options, and it comes down to what you want to do. So same opening, but charge instead of blink. Just unupgraded stalkers. So you still get like 6-7 stalkers early on, maybe 5 stalkers to help defend early, to defend like Widowmine drops and stuff. Then, you know, then Colossus charge. So charge instead of blink. Colossus would be faster earlier in the game, because at the moment you're getting them really late in the game. So that definitely would be something we'd want to have out, is quickest Colossus and charge, and then kind of beeline towards a push. So that's one way we could do it off this opening. We could just play like Zealot, Archon, and Mortal is a totally fine style as well. But I guess first of all, is there any specific thing you want to do in the opening? Do you want to play a bit more harassment oriented with like going into like Oracle harassment, or do you want to try to do some Blink Stalker harassment and then go into the Colossus? That's like very advanced, to be honest, the trying to do Blink Stalker harassment, which is like what you were doing before with the 4-gate Blink. That's probably not something we want to focus on, like unless we go all in. Like if we were to do that build, we would be like just trying to kill our opponent with the Blink Stalkers, and that's a very different way of playing. But we could open DTs. Is there anything that really sparks your excitement to learn in this matchup?
Well, try to win.
It's just at the moment you're unconfident. You just want to win, right? Okay, cool. Well, how about we stick with the same opening then? We only get blink after charge. So we go charge first, then blink. So we don't care about the early blink, okay? Because honestly, defending early pressure as well. People say, well, how do I defend Widowmine drops or this or that? You just need to have the stalkers in position. Whether or not you've got blink, it's just about having the stalkers covering your mineral lines. That's 95% of it. So we really don't need blink to defend. I often do just a 3-gate robo opening with just unupgraded stalkers and defend. It's one of my favorite kind of timeless PvT openings. That's always good. All right, so we can practice that out then. Let's just very quickly look at the early game here. So looking at your opening, what I would like, since you're going for such an early probe scout, I think it would be good if we go probably Nexus before Cybercore. Let me just take a glance at what's going on. So your pylon was super late this game. Let's take a look at that. I think it was at least 5 seconds late. Let's take a look. Let's double check. I was fast forwarding. It's only a few seconds. It is a few seconds late, but that definitely could be faster. So try to make sure your probe is out there putting that down right away. So the way most people will do that is they will rally their Nexus to where that first probe goes. Yeah. And that's one of the best things you can do with your opening, is just make sure that's always you're moving that rally point around. So, whoops. Rally Nexus to build first pylon with first probe.
Okay.
We also sent one of our very first probes across the map, and this does lose you minerals. So what? I like us scouting early, but I think this is a bit too early with this probe. So that's just because you were dying to some proxy barracks and some cheeses. So
because I am afraid about, for example, cheese, because at the beginning I was playing with Zerg, but because many people cheese and I wasn't able to defend myself, so I changed to Protoss, because I think Protoss has better opportunities to defend.
Fair enough. Definitely when we scout properly. So how about we just make it you scout with your pylon? So you go first probe, rallies, builds the pylon, and then goes to scout. Still a very early scout, very safe. But this way you're not slowing down your pylon and everything early on. So that's going to be way better. So in terms of another little optimization, do you know about stacking your workers up? Do you ever try to double your workers up so that they're mining from the closer patches?
No. I don't usually make any change about the patch of minerals. Yeah,
Cool.
I leave my profs doing alone
And that-
by days.
Yeah, sometimes it's not too bad, but sometimes it's quite bad. So notice here, look at your two middle mineral patches on your main base. You notice you've got 3 probes mining from each of these 2 middle mineral patches.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So that's really inefficient because you've got other patches which only have 1 worker mining on them. So instead, these workers, if you just watch these middle mineral patches here, I'll slow the game right down. Notice they're waiting. They're all stuck behind each other waiting on these 2 middle mineral patches here. Well, especially the bottom middle mineral patch. And then you've got other mineral patches where only 1 worker is mining from it. So you always want to make sure there's 2 on each mineral patch. So you want to go 2 on each mineral patch. And you also want to prioritize the patches that are a little bit closer. So you see, say, the very bottom left, the very far left-hand side, that's closer. The one next to it, just a little bit further away. So we would always rather mine from the closer patch. Now, this is actually really important for consistency with your macro for 2 reasons. Number 1, we want to get our pylon down at the right time. So every mineral counts, right? We want to get our gateway down at the right time, our nexus. This all, especially, you're not going to manage this 5 minutes into the game, right? You got other things to look at. You're not going to worry about this on your natural expansion. But in the early game on your main base, this just helps your opening get started really smoothly so that everything builds up and we get that exponential economy growth that leads to a really smooth game. So doubling them up, 2 on each mineral patch, prioritize the close mineral patch. The other thing though, is if you don't do that, notice how the minerals have different amounts of minerals on them. So if you click on the mineral patches, you can see that some of the minerals only have about half of what the other mineral patches have.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So those are also, you'll notice they're the far away patches as well. On most maps, almost always, it's the patches which are furthest away, which are the ones that have less minerals. So by prioritizing the closer mineral patches, you're also making sure you're not mining those lower patches out too fast. So what happened? You notice how you had those 3 workers on the middle mineral patch here? If that doesn't ever get fixed, that's really bad because those patches are going to mine out really early, like super fast. And then you've just got less mineral patches to mine from overall. So we would rather mine out the patches with more minerals, obviously, because then we can be mining more minerals at a time, which means, say we're on 3 bases, we can make use of a solid 65, 66 probes without there being losing income. So a couple of tips there is notice your rally point is in the middle of your mineral line on these far away patches, which we don't really want to mine from as much. Always set the rally point instead to one of the closer mineral patches. So I would do it just 1 mineral patch to the left of where it is, or up and to the right 2 mineral patches, because either one of those is a really close mineral patch with lots of minerals. So you notice if you just change that rally point, the probes are more often going to kind of have a chance of stacking up on those mineral patches. And yeah, if you keep rallying to these middle far away mineral patches, there's a really high chance you're going to end up with lots of workers all stuck behind each other, wasting time when they could be mining elsewhere.
Okay. So, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. It's a small thing, but it's one of those things you can do this in the early game. Just make sure your workers are split to a patch, prioritize the closer patches. If you do that, you just end up having like more consistent minerals at the start and everything will line up so that every game it's like the exact same time your nexus goes down, etc. Because what ends up happening here is because your probe goes across so early and then these workers aren't stacked up properly, you actually do end up quite far behind on minerals from what I would consider a standard opening. So I kind of fast forward before I was like, oh, you're kind of doing everything in the right order. And I didn't see like big gaps in production, but everything was a little bit late and I wasn't sure why. So the other thing we want to focus on here is a lot of people do this cybercore first now. That's actually not necessary. So we want to go Nexus before cybercore as a standard opening. And as long as we do our build tight, we should still be able to chrono boost out a Stalker or an Adept so that it pops out around the time a Reaper gets to our base. Because you're doing an early probe scout, you don't need to worry about, oh, I need to get units super fast. You'll see if your opponent's doing some cheese, you'll already know with your probe scout. So I think a better opening here is if you go 20 Nexus,
Okay.
then 20 Cybercore, and then you go 21 gas. So that's your second gas, of course. And then 22 second pylon. So basically it's pause probes at 20 Nexus, then start a Cybercore, then you start probe production, right? And then you go 21 second gas, build another probe, 22 second pylon. It's just a smoother opening because you get your Nexus up faster, and then we can just boost up that economy. We're in a meta right now where even in Platinum League, Terran players are macroing like what Masters League players used to macro, like if you leave them alone. Even a little bit of harassment will really screw them up. But generally speaking, like this guy hit a stim bio medevac timing at 6 minutes 30 and had a third base and double upgrades behind it. Like that's kind of insane. That's like a scary push. Now the thing is, I look at that in isolation, I go, that's insane. But then I look at it in the context and I say, wait, he did no harassment, right? He didn't Widow Mine drop. He didn't send Liberators in. He did literally nothing to you. So we actually should have been able to get even further ahead than him just with our standard opening and getting a really nice position. And that would have been awesome. So it would have just given you a boost here in your workers. You could be up 5 workers now or something like that, just from that optimization that I talked about. And you can imagine and visualize here, we'd be starting charge. We'd be getting that Robo Bay and then going up to a Colossus as well. So because you wouldn't be making Blink, you'd save 50 gas there. And yeah, just generally we would be in a pretty good spot. Now, I noticed you start putting a lot of extra pylons down to kind of spot areas of the map and stuff. But you've already got a ton of supply free. So that's something we'll try to not necessarily focus on as much. We'll try to be a little bit closer to our supply cap. Obviously, it's better to not get supply blocked, but just something to focus on there. And if you could squeeze that Robo Bay out a little bit quicker, that would be awesome. And then we'll go up for the third base and progress from there. So, yeah, this should work out really well, man. I think, honestly, it's just we've got to build towards that attack timing. And I think Colossus Charge is going to solve everything for us here. So let's hop out of that replay now and let's get into a practice game. And I'll walk you through the build order changes so that we can have a more fighting ready army. So let's hop out. Let's hop into a custom game. If we do have anyone in the chat who can help us, who's about a... so you're actually Diamond 3 right now. You're not Platinum 3.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. But because the season has started.
Oh.
This is the reason that I am...
But you were Diamond 3 with Protoss previously?
No. No. My points are getting down. Because when I get the classification, I get Diamond 3. But after playing many time, I start descending. I am still Diamond 3, but I am at position, I think.
Oh, actually, the ladder did bug out, right, as well? I think it put a lot of people, it promoted them even when their MMR wasn't correct for that ranks. So maybe that's part of it as well. Because I know it gave a lot of people who were like Gold League Masters, and I think it gave some Grand Masters Platinum League and stuff. Like it got really confused at the start of the season, I think. So yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool. So anyone who's about 3k MMR, thereabouts, doesn't matter. We just need a Terran in the EU server, guys. So if you hop out of that replay, mate, and guys, we just need you to hop in a chat channel, Pig or Piggy. Once you're in there, please shout out in the chat channel and just go, hey, we're here to help. So Gary, if you can just hop out of that replay, and then I'll host us up a map, and then we'll get someone in. We don't really need a practice partner here. We can probably do this versus AI. But it's always nice to have another human in the game, just to add a little bit of variability. It still shows you as being in the replay.
Can you repeat, please?
Can you leave the replay?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. All right.
Do you think that is a good option to get a sentry at the beginning of the game?
If you want, you can get one for like hallucination and stuff, but it's just make sure you do it the same way every game. And in general, with the way we're going to make you use more charge lots, more Colossus, we don't care too much about force fields.
Okay.
So if you want, it's a single sentry in your army just for Guardian Shield, and that's it. We're not going to worry about anything else.
Okay.
Cool. So we're just getting Herald in here, who I believe is a Platinum Terran player, which is awesome. Has Big Gabe as his picture. Just a big thanks, by the way, to a few people who subscribed. Just Johnson, Brotquell, and Chris Obel. Thank you very much, guys, including the weird, creepy message from Johnson. I'm pretty sure that's Johnson, our French Zerg player, who's been getting really good recently and is still a creepy guy, which we like. Good to see. Awesome. We got Herald here. So for this game, just any sort of macro focused, 2 to 3 base build, please. Just, after the first game, you can be more aggro if you want, but for now, we learning a bit of a new path. Then hitting you with a Colossus Zealot Archon attack at about 9 to 10 minutes, probably. Let's say 9 minutes, maybe. So good luck, have fun, mate. Yeah, mute the stream. Mute the stream for now. Ready? Awesome.
Yes, I'm ready.
So just do the same build order in terms of like the general tech path, but let's try to start differently. Let's work on these real fundamental things to make that opening smoother first of all this game. So we are going to screw this build up massively. I want you to be ready for that. That is the whole goal here. Right? First run through, we're probably going to restart the game within the first 3 minutes. And we're probably going to do this 2 or 3 times. So, good chance we mess up and restart a few times within 3 minutes. Good luck, have fun, mate. Just letting him know so that he's kind of prepared for that patience. So that he's not kind of like, oh, what the hell? We're restarting over and over. Because there's a good chance here we're going to do that. So we're diving into game now. And remember at the start, we want to rally the first probe from the Nexus to build the pylon and then go scout. Awesome.
Okay.
Good luck, have fun. Thank you very much for Rabola for the 11-month resub. What's up, fam? We love you guys. He says I will stay creepy until the end until the end of Masters. Nice. And looking good. Queue up more probes. And so remember, we want one more probe queued, and we want to send a probe over to build that gateway. Beautiful. So it's going to be the gateway back to mining and chrono boost those probes. Very nice. All right. So build one more probe and then take the gas. Keep queuing up probes. We want to queue right up to 20 supply now.
20, okay.
So 2 more probes should be queued up straight away. Yeah, so 1 more probe in the queue, and then we don't have to queue up any more probes for a while. Because remember, we're going to pause at 20 supply to build a Nexus. So if we look at home now, change the rally to your expansion. So this next probe popping out will go down to expand. And as he pops out, change the rally back to the gas. And that's going to be Nexus, and don't build any more probes. It's Nexus, then Cybercore. Beautiful. So Cybercore, go back to mining and start probes again. So we build 1 probe, and we take a gas. So second gas goes down, and then we queue up 1 more probe, and then go for a second pylon. So change your rally point to the other gas. Beautiful. 1 more probe, or continual probe production from here, honestly. And as soon as our Cybercore is done, we're going to chrono boost out a Stalker or an Adept, whichever one you prefer. And beautiful. And Warp Gate as well. And more probes. Looking good. So rally points down on your natural now. From both next side. Beautiful. Oh, right. And then you can start working towards your tech. This was such a better opening. You just keep boosting heaps of probes out. And yeah, this looks great, dude. This looks really good.
Oh. Ah.
This is such a better opening, guys. get that tech going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the sentry. I don't mind it too much, to be honest. It's fine. It's just a little
Oh, aquí no he puesto nada.
He's realizing, oh, I normally have a pylon at the front, but he forgot and put it there. That's fine. He's doing really good. Yeah, he's got this, guys. This is great. That pylon's actually good here.
Your research is complete. May it serve you well.
Yeah, let's get that robo base started. Just before we forget, and keep boosting out those probes. Don't get distracted by your scout. Probes. Get that robo base started. We need to get that Colossus out, remember. Very nice. There we go. Get workers on your other gas. And send a worker over to take your third base. We should be warping in units non-stop now. So it's very important to keep warping in units. And we should have some units in our main mineral line, some in our natural mineral line. Because Widow Mine Drop could be hitting soon. So you should always leave your units split between both, just so you're blind ready for anything to attack you.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna pause real quickly here. Just 1 minute review. We both doing great. Dude, this is infinitely better than what we saw before. Like, already, you executed this so well. This is insane. I said you were going to screw the build up. Obviously, you've got me talking in your ear, but you've done really well. Very impressive. So, this is great. I mean, you're going to start building a Colossus. That's very important, right? Because that's one of the most important, just consistent splash damage. A move unit to go with your charge zealots. Your charge is already kicking in. You've already swapped into zealot production off your early stalkers, which is great. Like, this is pretty fantastic, man. This is awesome. Let's talk about the build really quickly here. So, well, actually, first of all, let's harassment could still be coming in, like a Widow Mine Drop around now, right? We don't know if it is or not. I'm only watching from your camera. I have no idea. But we should always be safe against it. And in general, we should kind of have a secondary squad of units in our main, right? Normally you expand down away from your main to your third and then your fourth. And that's normally where your opponent attacks you on the front, right? So normally it's two areas. The frontal army sits at the front, and then you've got some units in the main. Might only be 2 or 3 stalkers that just stay there all game, but it could be more if you spot drops coming towards your main, right? You know, with your observers and that sort of stuff or whatever else. So I think what we want to focus on here is saying to ourselves, what control group do you feel comfortable with just putting units on and just leaving them in your main base? Is that just number 5? Is it number 7? Or do you just want to remove them from your army and leave them on no control group? What do you feel comfortable with? What's your system?
Well, I have changed my keys. My control group, I am using the letter D and letter G. I put 2 control groups, and one of my main and the other one on the entrance of my natural.
So D and G, you said. Is that
Yeah.
So right now is your main army on D in this game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you said
Now it's
normally,
D.
and normally okay. So G is like your main base defense, your drop defense squad, is it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Well, let's split some stalkers off onto that and put those up there when we get a chance. But that's not important for now. Let's focus more on the build order. So, can you just tab out to your document really quickly? So we've talked about, okay, we're going to change the opening. We're going to go charge instead of Colossus. But like, we need to define what happens next, okay? So I've written out like some kind of vague stuff. So after Colossus, charge, third base on the way, what are some important things? Do we want to go single forge or double forge, first of all?
I usually do after if I get my third base and it is saturated and is complete, I put I build 5 gateways and 2 forge.
5 gates plus 2 forges. Okay, cool. So we're kind of just going to have like 3 gate charge zealot colossus, which will keep you pretty safe. That should be fine. And then as your third gets saturated, just basically whenever you have the money, you're like, oh, okay, I've got minerals banking up now. Let's get 5 more gateways, 2 forges. I think that's a good way of doing it. I think that's actually really nice. So just keep probing that third. Now, technically, if we saw our opponent doing like a big 2 base all in, no third command center, they were just on like 5 barracks non-stop pumping, we could be like, oh, maybe we stop probing the third at just like 10 workers on minerals, right? And then go straight for the gateways and the forges a bit earlier than normal, just so we have more unit production, maybe only a single forge. But that's an adaptation. Standard game, assuming he's going for a third, your plan is perfect. So that's great. So that's all we're going to do here is we're just going to keep probing up. You're going to rally over to your third. You're going to start a Colossus, split a few Stalkers into your main base to help defend there, and just keep macroing up. This should be great.
Okay.
It's really important to have that mapped out in our head. So I just wanted to make sure you had a clear idea of what was coming next, since I've just talked you through a whole bunch of new slight deviations on your opening. It's easy to get confused. But Colossus, keep probing, get some Stalkers in the main. Good luck, have fun.
Okay. After that, I don't have many idea. After that.
That's fine.
Research complete.
Get that Colossus going, so don't stare too much at our scouting. So Colossus, get the range upgrade on it. Keep probing that third base. Awesome. Keep warping in Zealots, just for safety here. Since you're not going to be going your gateways very early, it's going to be important for you to more or less keep warping in those gateways, gateway units off those 3 gates from about this time. But for now, you're doing really good. So we want to make one more. Yeah, you can start the gateways. Make sure you get your second Colossus going on time as well, though. Don't delay that. So it is okay to wait with those gateways until you have like a solid 800-900 minerals, because then you can just go all your gateways at once, right? That way it's all happening around the same time. So let's go for the extra gateways now as well, and the forges. Yep, 2 forges as well, remember?
Oh.
And get a warp prism now. Now the important thing here is, whilst we are going to start those upgrades, let's put workers on gas at your third base. Yeah, good stuff. So whilst you are going to be making upgrades, you're not actually using them straight away. So you're making a third Colossus, that's okay. It's always going to be 2 or 3 Colossus into a warp prism. Now let's make a Templar Archives. So we want to keep warping in Zealots for the moment, but the idea is we're going to want to make Archons with this push as well. And we want to attack as soon as that prism's out. So let's make 1-1, and let's chrono boost your warp prism as well. And you can chrono boost the forges, but yeah, the warp prism, because we need to get that warp prism, because we want to go attack as soon as that warp prism's out. Okay? So more pylons. You just built a lot of gateways, so you should build about 6 pylons after your gateways, because your production just ramps up like crazy. So like, I'm not even kidding. So yeah, 6 pylons. It seems like a lot, but we don't want to get supply blocked. And if you're ever a bit nervous, you can always build like a cannon and a battery at your third and your main, but it's not too important. It's more important now for us to start, warp in more Zealots as these pylons are finishing. And then we're going to go across the map. So 1 more round of Zealots first. But we do not need a 4th base.
No 4th base?
No 4th base. We're going to attack. Cancel that.
Okay,
Cancel the Nexus. You can leave the pylons up, but you cancel the 4th Nexus. Make a round of Zealots and go. You need to go attack. Remember, this is your attack time. And get that Warp Prism. Go across the map. You're going to set up maybe 3/4 of the way across the map, and you're going to warp in a big round of Archons, okay?
Okay.
So that should have been Archons. That's okay. It's important to get a bit closer to where your army is now. That's where we should have morphed in Archons. So let's wait for the Archons. Pull back. You're going too close to his base. Pull back a little bit. Yep, where you are is fine. That's already very close to him. And let's get one round of Archons warped in and then push. You can also chrono boost your 1/1 upgrade since they're almost done. So we can time this out so everything kind of kicks in. Make Archons and get ready to attack. So for you don't want to just headbutt up that choke, right? If you want to attack up here, you need to move your army to come up from 2 angles or something like that. Or maybe go up from the top left. You do not want to head through that tiny choke point. So let's go attack a different angle. Move up to the left.
Upgrade complete.
Your whole army. Go up there with your whole army. Yeah. Make him come to you. He's got siege tanks. All right, that's cool. You can just leave the warp prism where it is. Attack that base. Go. Kill him. Good luck. You got this.
Oh. Whoa.
Oh, he's chrono boosting upgrades during a push. Bad habit. He didn't Guardian Shield. Alright, you did a really good job. Starting 2-2, not important. Much more important how you control your army. You spent your whole game building up to this army. All of your focus should have been on the army. We should have used Guardian Shield and just focused on how you positioned your army a little bit more. A lot of players who've been macroing. They get there, they go, cool, the fight's about to happen, and they go home and start upgrades exactly like you just did. It's a very bad habit. Essentially, I want you to think of it. If you float 3,000 minerals, 2,000 gas, and you're not macroing at all, that's good. Now, that's everything you've been told is the opposite of that. Everyone says, no, that's bad. It's good because you've spent the whole game up to that point focusing on your macro being perfect. Okay? So you've put all this effort into building a great army at an awesome moment in the game. Now it's your job above everything else to use that army, right? You've got 10 minutes of macro on the line in how you control that push. So if you do that push well, your 10 minutes of macro was worth it. And if you throw that army away to get 2-2 started or to build an extra pylon or to start a 4th base, and then it distracts you from your army and you mess up the attack, you've thrown away 10 minutes of macro to have 30 seconds of better macro. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Awesome.
What?
Yeah, that's really good because it's just making sure we focus really hard on the push, and that'll be really, honestly, it's a game changer, dude. We do have time for one more game really quickly. Let's very quickly get into another game here. So can you hop out of that replay and we will host up again?
Can you repeat, please?
Can you get out of the replay? Just leave the replay, and so I can host up the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do. Yeah, Death Aura should be fine. Here we go. So we can play one more game quickly. Yeah, the important thing. Let's do it after. Let's make sure we don't take too long with this attack. Really important. And even if you go across the map and you've only got 2 Colossus, that's fine. If your 1-1 isn't finished, that's fine. The important thing is getting your Prism over there, morph in 1 round of Archons, because that's such a big power to your army, because you always float a lot of gas at that point. So it's like really nice to just suddenly go, bam, 4 or 5 Archons, just 4 Archons added to your army. So big, man. So that makes your army so much better. And that's such a scary army you've got, You've got your Colossus, your Archons, all sorts of stuff.
Once a guy built a lot of Ghost and started IMP, and I didn't know how to defend against that. But at the beginning of the game.
Sorry, someone made Ghost at the very start of the game.
Yeah. I think that it was, how many? 6 minutes, I think. Because I didn't attack so early, I think.
Sounds like maybe they proxy Rex 1 based all in you. I'm not. I would need to see a replay to actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but the next. Yeah, I will check for the next session.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine against that sort of stuff. To be honest, just make more units, like, and just try to. If you know ghosts are coming, spread your stuff out so they can't EMP everything. That's all. But ghosts are very expensive and they don't do a lot of damage themselves. They attack pretty slowly. So if you just make more stuff, that's always the answer. You know, people often get confused. They go, "Oh, what do I need to defend this unit?" Usually it's not about what you need. It's just about having the right army versus economy, right? So if you're like building probes for your third base really hard and you just weren't warping in off your gateways and your Colossus wasn't out on time, you're going to die. But remember, with this new build, you've got charge really early. You're going for a Colossus a bit quicker. So because of that, you normally will just have a better army. That same sort of 6-minute 30 stim bio attack that killed your sentries and stalkers, that was just a very soft army you had. But your army is way better now because you're going to have a bunch of like 5-6 charge zealots and a Colossus. It's just a much better army. So you should naturally be safe against all this sort of stuff.
Okay.
Awesome, man. So I talked you through the opening. Let's try and do that one more time. I'll talk you through it again with the juggling. So let's just remember rallying the probe, the very first probe to build the pylon, and then go on a scout.
Okay.
There's 100% chance that he executes the opening way worse than last time,
About
guys.
the patches, it's difficult to remember.
Don't worry about the patches for this game. You can work on that after today. But for now, just get that first probe rally to build that. And then remember, just this habit of whenever you do this, as soon as the probe rally's out, change the rally point back to the minerals or the gas. And that's just this really nice habit for early game PvP. Let's take the gas. Queue up more probes. Very nice. Yep. Queue up one more probe. Remember we queued to 20. Yeah, beautiful. Good memory. So as this probe pops out, rally back to the gas. Awesome. It's going to be Nexus and then Cybercore. So we don't queue up any more probes at this point. No more probes until after the Cybercore goes down. Queue up probes. So we should have queued up the probes before the gas. Doesn't make too much difference. It's just one less, you know, we lost a few seconds of probes. It doesn't matter. So normally it's Cybercore, build a probe, build the gas. We need the second pylon down now. So let's get that second pylon started.
I will try to put here. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's remember to get that down earlier then. Yeah, send the probe down there a bit ahead of time to make sure it's on time next time. It's not a big deal. Just means that now when our Cybercore is finished, we're going to be supply blocked for a second. We won't be able to build that Adept. That's okay.
Yeah.
So just get the Adept, get the Warp Gate going. This really doesn't matter too much. And let's change the rally points down to your natural expansion now. Beautiful. Now we can chrono that Stalker. Awesome. Looking good, mate. Yeah, the new maps are super standard. The Golden Wall is... Submarine's a bit of a rush map, but it's pretty standard still. And Golden Wall is its own thing. Should be pylon next. Getting that gas a little bit early. Remember, after the 2 gateways, you always build a pylon.
Okay.
Get those observers going. You're doing really good. All right. Yeah, we can get the 4th gas as well. Real nice. And then we can get 1 more observer if you want. So it's normally like, if we can get 2 observers out, that's fine. But the problem is just we want to make sure we get the robo base started right after that, and no later. So like if we ever felt like we were under threat, we would probably just get the Colossus before the 2nd observer and just, you know, be safer. But that's just something to keep in mind, is we're always going to be very hungry for gas. So Robo Bay. That Robo Bay. Yep. Good Stalker warping and already putting them up there in the main. Fantastic to see. And we should... You actually put them on, yeah, the 2 keys, which is great. All right. Looking good. Looking good. Oh, we got a double drop coming to our main. Everything up into the main base. Go, go, go. Warp in units. Bring all your units up. Try to fight this. Good luck. Guardian Shield would be amazing. Charge helps so much though. Even just having charge on 3 zealots. Look at that. And this is why charge zealots are amazing. Easy. Alright, go back to macroing. You've held it off. So Colossus, Colossus range, build probes, rally to your 3rd base, and just keep doing it. That was an awesome hold. We see the power of warping in off those 3 gates nonstop and of having charge. Makes our life a lot easier.
Yeah,
Good.
That's right.
Well done, mate. It was a good hold, guys. If I didn't tell him about it, maybe he freaks out, takes more damage or whatever. But
Do I have to leave the game or?
oh no! You're doing good. You're doing good. No, keep playing. I was just saying that was a good hold. Yeah. No, keep playing. Keep playing. I'm not saying we're done. Don't worry. We can go for another couple of minutes. Build up to the push, and then we can go. So we'll go after 2 Colossus. So what we're going to do this time is we're not going to take gases on our 3rd base, just a slight variation. So we don't need many more probes. Let's stop probe production. Let's go 5 gateways. And we're going to do it without forges this time. So queue up the 5 gateways straight away. And then Chrono Boost Warp Prism right after this Colossus.
Okay.
We don't need the double forge. That's okay. We can have it, just don't use it. And what we want to do, get the Templar Archives, remember. So we need Templar Archives to start no later than when our Warp Prism starts.
Okay.
And all we're doing now is making zealots. And remember, we just built a lot of gateways. What do we build after building gateways? Lots of pylons. Your production's going to go insane. And this way we're preparing. As soon as that prism comes out, move across the map. Once again, don't go too close. Just move across to a position where you can siege up, warp in a round of Archons, and then go. So keep warping in Zealots for now. Prisms out. Let's go across this map. Warp in 1 big round of Archons, and then let's punch the Terran in the dick.
Okay.
It's a technical term, guys. Technical term. This should be the easiest push of all time. Brigiliani says he's gathering a bit of resources, almost 1,000 gas for this specific purpose. This is why the Archons are such a great addition to the push. He was just slightly short on gas. Oh, don't you dare go just yet. He better group up first. He's also, you'll notice he's really, like, he sees everything, but he seems to choose the worst angle to fight. So, like, he should be moving there and coming in from those 2 angles. But he doesn't, like, he's got full vision, and you can kind of tell from his camera he doesn't really tactically analyze the situation very much. He just kind of headbutts, which is fine. I mean, he's going to win the game really easily here. Just more zealots, go, go, go. He's got it. Yeah, he's got it. The power. So this is great. Awesome, man. The power of just... You've got a few Colossus, you've got Charge, you add a few Archons to that. It's such a powerful push, and this makes the game so much easier for us because it gives us something to build towards. So something else you can do, I know you left that game, but you can go back and you can check that replay and you can say, benchmark it. What time did you get to their side of the map? How many units did you have exactly? What was your supply? What was your probe count? Write all of that down as a benchmark and learn to do that at the end of every game. Press rewind rather than leave the game, whether you win or lose. Check what time your attack hits and benchmark it. And this way you can very easily see how good you did in your opening. Sometimes they do a lot of harassment. It slows things down a little bit. So obviously you've got to take that into account. But if they don't do a lot of harassment or you have a good opening, you can check. You'll be like, man, I hit at 8 minutes 30 this game. This was a sick timing attack. You can also start to then analyze it because you've got this very clear focus. You can kind of look at it in terms of, okay, this didn't work, but the benchmark was really good. I hit fast. I had a lot of units. Then you look at the engagement and you realize you attacked up a cliff around a corner and your army got stuck and like Widow Mines hit the center of your Archon Zealot clump and, you know, an EMP got rid of all your shields or something. And you're like, oh, okay, I took a bad fight. And then you could start thinking about, oh, I should have attacked from this angle instead. You know, you can look at this and maybe be like, oh, I could have spread my army out and come from two sides. You got this big Zealot Archon army. It's like a really good army if you spread out and come from two sides so you don't get stuck behind each other. So it's not like you're attacking in a clump at the moment, which is not bad, but maybe you could spread out a little bit. So there's lots of things you can analyze, but the clear thing here is you have a better army early game. That charge really helped you shut that push down. So number one, you're safer at the start. But number two, you've got a clear goal, which is let's go mess him up with Archon, Zealots, and Colossus. And this is just a really great army. I tell you, every time I fight against someone playing Colossus, Zealots, Archons, I'm like, oh God. Because I know it's such a hard army to fight against as Terran, because it's just lots of raw power. Even if my opponent doesn't have very good micro, I know it's going to be hard for me to fight. So I think this can really do well. Your opening already looking fantastic as well, man. Keep that up. Keep practicing the opening. Start working in the doubling up the workers in all your games, every matchup. And if you have any other matchups where you find you're a bit lost or you're sitting back too much trying to play macro, you can still do a macro opening. Just make sure you turn it into a strong, reliable push. Or even if it's off 3 bases like this one, we're getting a big economy. But having that push that we're building towards, you're doing everything so much tighter. Because suddenly you're like, oh, I got to get that Templar Archives so I can warp in Archons. I got to get that Prism out. And you're very focused. And you're macroing better than ever. It's awesome to see, man.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Monk. That's great.
No worries, man. Yeah, obviously we've got to finish up here, but that was great. So if you do ever want to set up another session, just let me know. Otherwise, just drop by Twitch chat, whatever. Let me know how your ladder games are going and give us an update, mate. I hope you start kicking the shit out of all the Terran players, man. I want to hear some stories of people complaining, man.
I think it's really, really nice. Very useful. Very useful. Yes, thank you, man.
No worries.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, good luck and have a good night, brother.
Thank you, man. See you.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Hope you enjoyed that little sesh there. Yeah, really simplified, I think, PvT. I think we made it a lot easier for the player there. You think he was making things way too hard, too technical, and he was having a lot of problems with just being too fancy. You know, going blink, going lots of observers, going sentries, and never getting the Colossus or Zealots out until after the key fights were happening, whilst not being an expert at force field blink usage. Force field blink, pretty complicated army. And until you get used to it, you're gonna have a trouble. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. See you in the next one.